I honestly never thought I'd be debating samosa versus chutney here on my show on India Today. But here we are, aren't we? It's a big Pakistani meltdown over, of all things, India's Tejas fighter jet. India's indigenous light combat aircraft fighter is a star attraction at the Dubai Air Show this week. India's air might, however, has flustered Pakistan. And I'm not talking about the usual trolls and the defense, the defense forums and things like that. I'm talking about widely followed, verified, popular Pakistani journalists who are in an absolute meltdown over the Tejas, mocking it, calling it a samosa and saying that it is basically an inferior aircraft. What is this all about? Why are we down to samosa versus chutney? Ripping up the sky over the Gulf, India's indigenous LCA Tejas fighter is a star attraction at the Dubai Air Show this week. Led by a team from the Indian Air Force's Flying Bullet Squadron that operates this homegrown jet. The Tejas is flexing muscle at a time when the troubled program has turned several corners and has been embraced with a 47,000 crore Air Force order for 83 more jets earlier this year. But admiration isn't the only kind of attention the Tejas is receiving in the skies over Dubai. Example number one. This tweet from a verified security journalist, Sumaira Khan in Islamabad, where she mocks the Tejas as a samosa, a reference to its delta-winged or triangular shape. The samosa barb, begun by Pakistani internet trolls, looks to suggest that the Tejas is somehow inferior by design to Pakistani jets. But there's more. Example number two. This tweet by another widely followed and verified Urdu journalist, Javeria Siddiqui, where in an odd choice of attack, she mocks the Tejas by comparing it to a bat flying in daylight. And then there's example number three, a tweet by mainstream Pakistan newspaper Daily Times columnist Ikra Nasir, where she laughs at the Tejas display in Dubai. But why are verified, established Pakistani journalists so triggered by India's Tejas fighter flying over Dubai? What's the big deal? Fighters from across the world, including Pakistan, attend shows all the time, including ones in Dubai. So why has a section of the Pakistani media waded into a domain so far dominated by anonymous trolls and dubious defense forums? At the outset, both of these aircraft programs have strengths and weaknesses, but why have things descended to such a juvenile level? Right at the outset, reason number one, it's likely that Pakistani internet has been triggered by the fact that the Tejas is at the Dubai Air Show, whereas the Pakistani jet is not. Reason number two, the Tejas has turned a corner after many years of troublesome development, with a huge order being placed by the Indian Air Force this year. And that's one of the reasons why, and that's reason number three, that the Pakistanis may be feeling the heat and wanting to ramp up a sort of defamation campaign to mock the Tejas, even though their own aircraft is actually pretty good. And finally, what we're seeing now play out is basically the military probably enlisting the services of popular Pakistani journalists to take pot shots at the Tejas. The internet war over India's indigenous Tejas and Pakistan's Chinese origin JF-17 is not a one-way affair. Where Pakistanis label the Tejas as a samosa, Indian internet mocks the JF-17 as chutney for the samosa. But what began as an adolescent sandfight has now been embraced by apparently serious Pakistani journalists. As the Tejas enthralls crowds over Dubai, Expect this fight to get even more acidic than any chutney on earth. Bureau Report, India Today. So samosa versus chutney, and I'll be very honest with you, viewer. I actually invited all of these, popular Pakistani journalists, whether it was Javeria Siddiqui or Ikra Nasir or Sumaira Khan or Fahmida Yusufi, many other blue-tick journalists. I said, come on to my show, let's have a light-hearted chat about samosa versus chutney and why verified handles have jumped into the domain of Twitter trolls. But they all either said that they don't want to join or they ignored our messages. So clearly, they're only just Twitter warriors over samosa and chutney and wouldn't want to be part of a show. I leave it to you to decide what that actually means. Well, no hard feelings though. It's all descended down to samosa versus chutney. I'm going to leave it there for the moment. We've got some breaking news.